This was a local constructed tournament held at FAB Foundry in Portland, Oregon on March 1st, 2026. This was a win-a-box tournament, so we had a pretty good turnout for it. 23 players in the event, 5 rounds of Swiss. The top of the screen is Daniel playing Archimago, and at the bottom of the screen is Jeremy playing Persecutor. So both of these players, I think, relatively new to the game, or maybe like haven't gotten like a ton of reps in the game, to my knowledge. But one of the great things about like getting the opportunity to go to an event of this size in our region is that you get the opportunity to see some players that you don't normally see week over week at locals. So turn 1 with a Molten Mar can't make use of the Genesis, but gets out a Ruby Core. Turn 1 for Archie, setting up with Thresholds with a Glass in the Buried Tor. Jeremy playing a Desecrated Ground Site out of hand. 1 for a Pith Imp. I think that I think that technically he could have reordered how he played out those sites. So turn 1 he could have played the Desecrated Ground and the Ruby Core, and then turn 2 he would have had the option to play the Molten Mar, and then would have had Threshold and mana in his mana pool to summon the Hellhound from collection, potentially. But the inclusion of Desecrated Grounds in your main Atlas deck is an interesting choice. I think that maybe thinking that the plus power would be beneficial defensively on the site on your side of the board. Daniel responding with a Magic Missiles to kill the Pith Imp and get his spell back, also dealing 1 point of damage to the Persecutor. So that was his turn, and then passing turn here. We're going to see turn 3 here from Jeremy. Playing a red desert, no target for the Genesis ping. He's got 4 mana to work with on this turn. Daniel, it looks like he has a Poison Well in his hand. He could have maybe played that turn 2 instead of the tower and saved the tower to allow him to ramp on turn 3. But maybe he was hoping that to get into a better position with the Poison Well and deal some additional damage here, like he's about to do. He's playing the Poison Well, going to hit Jeremy for 2 points of damage. The Corruptor Freak also dealing 2 points of damage to Jeremy at the end of his turn after he summoned it. Two mana for Sisters of Avalon, so Daniel is going to get the cycle. He's going to discard and draw. Looks like he discarded an Infiltrate into his cemetery. And then only 1 mana left. He can't make use of that, so he passes turn. Jeremy tapping for a Mountain Peaks with his Persecutor. playing a Violamp to ping off the Sisters of Avalon, and then attacking Corruptor Freaks with Corruptor Freaks for 2 points of damage, using the Persecutor ability to take a step forward to nearest evil, choosing the Corruptor Freak, and then passing turn. So he has a lot of mana in his mana pool. He's up to 5 mana. He spent 2 on the Violamp, but he didn't have any additional plays he wanted to make at that time. Daniel is going to play an Observatory, so he's going to look at the top 3 cards on his spellbook and rearrange them how he wants. I see a Browse at the top, but I think he chose to put that in the middle of the stack. Daniel looks like he has 2 Hillock Beasts in his hand. Hillock Basilisks, excuse me. I'm a little surprised that Jeremy drew and then tapped for a 4th Sight, since he already had the core out. Like 4 mana base feels pretty good if you're running an aggressive Persecutor deck. And if he had chosen to not tap for the Sight, he could have attacked in with Persecutor and snuck in another 2 points of damage. Daniel choosing to play the Hillock Basilisk to lock down the Corruptor Freak, which is like a decent play. It does disable the Corruptor Freak, so it turns off its ability to damage the site. Jeremy declaring attacks with both the Violamp and the Persecutor. So technically, I think what you should do is you should attack with one piece at a time, and give your opponent time to respond. And the issue that we're running into here is that they have a little misunderstanding about how the Hillock Basilisk's ability works. It sounds like Daniel is interpreting that the Hillock Basilisk disables everything in front of it, one step in front of it, and he's including like all 3 sites in front of it, in like nearby, as well as like the adjacent sites to his sides, which is a huge range for Hillock Basilisk, and not how that card works. Hillock Basilisk only locks down minions on the site it's on and directly in front of it, which means forward of the Hillock Basilisk toward your opponent. So only those 2 sites get locked down. And then the other key piece of Hillock Basilisk is that it only locks down minions when at rest. So if you're able to attack into the site that the Basilisk is sitting on, you can get that attack through. Or kind of sneak in from the side there. So technically, like the way that this is set up here, the Hillock Basilisk, the Corruptor Freak should no longer be disabled when he passes turn back. But I think they're playing it where the Corruptor Freak is disabled currently. We saw an accusation played by Jeremy, and I think that technically that card wasn't interpreted correctly on that previous turn as well. The way that card works is that you reveal your opponent's hand, and then they discard a card at random, or the caster can choose if your opponent has or controls an evil card. But the Archimago player doesn't have an evil card in play. He only has the Basilisk, which is a beast. And I think what happened was that I think they interpreted that card to mean that if the caster controls an evil minion or an evil unit, then they get to choose the card out of hand. The Archimago player also removing the Corruptor Freak with magic missiles. It looks like Jeremy tapping the Persecutor for a sight again. I'm not sure why you wouldn't just attack in with the Persecutor instead, just to keep pushing damage. Especially when you have so much mana set up already. You're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sites plus the core, so six mana in your mana pool. And he's passing turn, so he didn't really even have anything that he wanted to play on that turn, or felt comfortable playing on that turn. So it's not really that he needed the mana for that turn. Daniel playing an Orb of Belbereth. They're taking a look at it. Orb of Belbereth will copy any magic cast nearby. It is an artifact monument. And I think there's a little confusion on this card as well. Daniel it looks like he's playing it on the nexus of 4 sites like an aura. An artifact monument has to be played at a location on top of a site or on a site. So like he needs to choose where it's going to sit, and then anything cast like in the nearby range of that location would get duplicated. Not making use of it looks like he played a Merlin's Tower on that previous turn too, to get up to 5 mana to play the orb, and then not able or not wanting to take advantage of the Genesis on Merlin's Tower. The Greater Blood Demon, Jeremy's summoning a Greater Blood Demon onto the Accursed Desert. Maybe that's why he chose to play a site with the Persecutor instead of pushing the damage on the previous turn. Because of the way that they think that the Basilisk range works, he wanted to get a summoning site further away from the Basilisk in order to be able to play out the Greater Blood Demon. Problem is, like, he's taken a lot of damage at this point, and the Greater Blood Demon deals 4 on Genesis. So that takes Jeremy to 5. Ignore the life totals on the phone app that they're using on the screen. They got out of sync. They got out of sync with their life tracking pretty quickly, at least on the phone. Jeremy was only using the phone for his life for the duration of the game, and then at one point there was some confusion when the Hillock Basilisk attacked in to the Persecutor, and I think he only marked like one damage there when it should have been 3. Daniel playing a Browse. He's got a lot of options from that Browse. I think I see, is that 2 Arcane Barrages? Arcane Barrage, Magic Missile, Firebolt. So 4 Waters, another Core, which I don't think he really needs, and then Spider. And I think he was considering taking the Firebolt. From what I remember at this tournament, I believe that what I heard was that this Archimago deck, it's not like a meta build for Archimago. It's more just like a build around as like a spell slinger theme Archimago. So it's just like a ton of burn spells. You want to just play those out and shoot things down, and then recur them back from the cemetery, and get your value kind of like that way primarily. So it's not really like min-maxed in the control way that that Archimago is infamous for. And I believe he's missing the trigger on Orb of Belbereth, so Browse could have been cast twice, but he's only taking advantage of it once here. Playing a Root Spider under the Merlin's Tower. So that's 4 mana spent on his turn here. I think he has 2 left, but he passes turn. Jeremy starting his turn with 6 mana in his mana pool. He's very, very close to the door at this point. And likely he'll be at door on the next turn here. So it just depends on like I think his best chance would be to try to burst down the Archimago player to door first, and then hope you have some sort of kill spell to round out the game on the next turn there. Taking a step back with the Greater Blood Demon, playing out a Boudica. Boudica allowing for damage to get pushed in here. 2 from the Persecutor plus 3 per Boudica, so 5 points total going in here. And I think that if they had understood how the effect on Hillock Basilisk worked during this game, he would have been able to push damage with the Greater Blood Demon as well to bring Daniel to the door. But I think he took a step back again because he was expecting that if he moved in with that minion adjacent to the Basilisk, it would disable it, which is not the case. Jeremy's trying to play a Cerberus. So that's problematic for a couple of reasons. One, he doesn't have the mana left in his mana pool this turn, I believe, because he just cast the Boudica. And then 2, he can't summon it onto an enemy site, and the Cerberus must be summoned on one of your own sites. That's a requirement for casting a minion from hand, or casting a minion typically in general. He chose to take a step with a Persecutor to nearest evil before he cast it, but again, like they're not calculating that correctly, I think, and he's taking a step diagonally, which you're not allowed to do. You have to take a step adjacent. Archimago player looking in the cemetery here. He has at threshold for spells to recursion, and he's got some good spells in there to choose from. He's got an infiltrate. He's got 2 magic missiles at his disposal. I think he's choosing infiltrate. He's going to cast infiltrate. Infiltrating the Greater Blood Demon. And again, I think they missed the trigger on Orb of Belbereth here as well. And infiltrate, I think, should have been created a copy. And he would have had the opportunity to infiltrate both Cerberus and the Greater Blood Demon. Daniel is attacking in to the site with the Greater Blood Demon, which is not a legal play as well. Infiltrate taps the minion when you take control of it, so you don't get to take an action with it immediately on that turn. But I think they missed that part and then choose to attack in. Jeremy like asking about the Greater Blood Demon coming in next to the Hillock Basilisk, and then I think they say like, okay, I guess it's like adjacent sites only, which is still incorrect. But their understanding of the Hillock Basilisk has plagued them for a large portion of this game. Archimago casting a blink, and again, I think just not I don't know what they were doing, not using that correctly. The blink can only be you can only teleport to a nearby location. The mountain peak is more than one location away from where the Hillock Basilisk was on the Poison Well. I think technically, the Archimago player could have cast Blink twice by duplicating it with the orb, but he only drew one card off of that. I think they were still missing the trigger on orb. So I'm not sure what the reasoning was on the site selection for the blink at that point, if it wasn't duplicated twice. Playing a Vile Imp. Jeremy's playing a Vile Imp, choosing to move with the Persecutor onto the desecrated ground, and then using the Persecutor ability to take a step. Which again was not correct, because it has to take a step towards nearest evil, and nearest evil, when Cerberus is in play, is always going to be on the site that you're already on. So that wouldn't have worked. I like where his head was at, though. That's some creative thinking in terms of movement. That's what Sorcery really thrives on. It just, unfortunately, it wasn't going to work that way for him. And then Daniel, we see just rounding out the game here with a major explosion from hand. So that was a nice quick game. I think they're like realizing at the end here when they're talking that they miss the triggers on the orb every single time. And that the Hillock Basilisk was a huge problem in the game. I think they haven't realized at this point that they weren't playing it correctly, but I think that really put Jeremy on the back foot the entire game, just because of the interpretation of how strong that Hillock Basilisk piece was, how they chose to play it. So, a lot of play errors in that game, but like both players did their best, and it was interesting to watch, and like I am sure they've both kind of since at least kind of like learned how that Hillock Basilisk interaction works. All right, thank you for watching. And we'll move on to round 2 next.